Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. October 17, 2019, the $50 billion edition. First up, and we'll take it as our lead story today, as reported in the Washington Post, the three largest opioid distributors and a couple of pharmaceutical manufacturing companies are proposing a $50 billion settlement with states and cities that are set to go to trial on Monday. The distributors are AmerisourceBergen, Cardinal Health, and McKesson, also joined by Johnson & Johnson and Teva, who face a huge number of lawsuits over the opioid crisis. If this settlement goes through, it would fund a lot of treatment, but it is about 1/3 the estimated annual cost to the U.S. in terms of lost productivity, loss of tax revenues, medical costs, and other associated costs from the opioid crisis. Obviously, the companies want to try to cap their liability, and the plaintiffs here, states, counties, and cities, want to get as much as possible. With trial scheduled to start Monday, everyone is under the gun, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can get it done. Next up from Bloomberg, two ex-Credit Suisse bankers will testify in the Mozambique bribery and corruption case. They will testify against their former putative business partner, Jean Boussanté, the former executive of the shipbuilder Privinest Group. This is the infamous tuna boats case where over $2 billion was loaned to Mozambique, and of course none of it actually benefited the citizens of the country. Next up from the Washington Post, the U.S. has charged a Turkish bank in a scheme to violate sanctions with Iran and line officials' pockets with bribes. Federal prosecutors have charged a Turkish bank with undermining U.S. sanctions against Iran and with bribery and corruption. It is not clear why this suit was brought immediately after the Turkish invasion, or what that action had to play in this. It's been a part of a long-running investigation from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan. So pretty serious charges, and the U.S. Attorney's Office has it's been a long source of friction between the U.S. and Turkey. Trump has tried to intervene several times to stop this, most recently, or at least reported through his Secretary of State to do so. And to Rex Tillerson's credit, he refused to do so. So big criminal charges against a Turkish bank. And then finally, in a very interesting article in the Financial Times, Wirecard's suspect accounting practices revealed. This is the German company who had the image of one of Germany's leading business success stories, a fintech champion to rival software giant SAP. And after a decade of breakneck growth, Wirecard became a favorite of investors. However, this seemingly irresistible rise was plagued by intermittent controversies around its accounting and business practices. And it turns out that not only were they fraudulent, but they've been ongoing for some time. It's not clear how far up this was known in the company organization, but just a wide variety of accounting fraud alleged in this case going on over in the Far East, most particularly in Singapore. Wirecard has been devastated by this, and it's not clear if the company will ever be able to recover from this, particularly with the German government and the Singaporean government and others looking at them very closely. So, great article. I would commend it to you. It's in the FT's Big Read section, which is always great. Certainly one of my favorites. They focus on business practices, and every compliance practitioner should be reading this. Thanks so much for listening to the Daily Compliance News, which is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio.